Media and all that crap. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But become a sponsor of the show. If you've been watching for a while, if you watch consistently, if this is something, if this is an experience every night that you can't live without, that you feel kind of incomplete without, like it is for me, then consider becoming a sponsor on the Sponsor Us tab on quitefrankly.tv. It could start as little as $5. And that $5 right there, $5 a month, gets you, I think, at least $150 worth of value every month. Now with the newsletter and the Sunday streams and now that I have the music room all together, it may not be band practice for maybe a month or so until we get until my guitarist is back in Westchester County again, but it'll definitely be drums, hanging out, doing some drum. I did a sound check on D Live the other night. You can go and check that out, sir. We're about ready to do that again, and then book club. It has one out. As you all know, that my approach for book club in October is going to be 4 short stories instead of 1 novel, and the public book club that we are going to be doing with everybody, so that people can get a glimpse of it, is The Mask of the Red Death, Edgar Allan Poe. Everybody wanted Poe, and I don't blame them. It's going to be great. But then we also have The Swimmer by John Cheever. We have The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. We have The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. That's all in the month of October, and there's still, obviously, so much coming after that. But this is a time to really circle the wagons and invest in each other. And I'm putting my heart and soul into this, so I invite you to come along and support the show into what is going to be a really transformative 2025. Going into the holidays, just for what's going on right now with a really interesting and cozy rebrand, it's going to be nice. It really is. Whole new kind of feel, whole new presentation to the world, and just bringing the show to new levels. I don't know how mature it's going to get. It'll be more mature than it is right now, but you know how it is with me. For those of you who've been around for the long haul. Anyway, that's what I have for you tonight. Become a sponsor. That's my plug for the weekend, and hopefully you consider it. With that, I am going to welcome our guest for the evening. To my left is Matt. Matt, how you feeling, bro?
Hello, Francis.
How was work today?
It's all right.
It was hot in the sun, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Pretty humid today.
Were you working sanitation this week?
Nah, we're getting Abendroth Park ready for this dog adoption thing tomorrow. We painted the barn, the benches, power washed the sidewalk.
Where are you getting the dogs from?
I'm not involved with it. It's the SPCA.
ASPCA?
Yeah, there you go.
Are they bringing in healthy dogs, or are they all like dying?
I don't know. You can go and look. Maybe you should get a dog.
I have some friends who really have a heart of gold, but they always end up adopting cats and dogs who are like already 10, 11 years old. And hey, they all need love. They all need families, but they're always burying pets because they just get them when they're already infirmed and almost just dead.
No, there's going to be puppies.
Oh. Well, maybe Aurora would like that. To at least take a look at it. No, that wouldn't be good. She's going to want one.
And the dog's going to want a human, and you're just teasing it by doing that.
So then I won't show up. Okay. That's settled. On the other side of the room, man, oh man, is it great to see this guy in the flesh. Known him for years. We've done a show together for years. It's Adel Nero. What's going on, Adel?
Dude, Frank, it's awesome to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Are you nervous?
A little bit, actually. Yeah, this is...
You do this all the time. There's nothing to be nervous about.
It's like a real studio, though. Like, this isn't the closet in my house where I normally broadcast from. Like, this is legit. This is awesome.
People don't get it. And and when I knew that when he put you on the schedule for tonight, this was weeks ago. We put you on the schedule, actually like a month or so. I said, okay, well, that night is going to have to be a hookah night because, of course, this is your actual heritage.
Absolutely.
So I am honoring you by scrubbing down these hookahs. And is yours pulling nice?
Yes, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we cut the blueberry with a little bit of mint.
It's fantastic.
Okay, fantastic. So anything you want to say opening up? How's the drive in?
Drive-in was good, man. About 6.5 hours. Traffic wasn't too bad. Left around 9 a.m., got in around 3:30, and just been enjoying the city so far.
What do you think about my town that I grew up in? It's a little dense, is it not?
It is a little dense.
You know, you're officially in a village, right?
Yeah. Okay. I did not realize that.
When you think of a village, don't you think of a small, snowy little alcove of 150 people in the middle of the woods?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Nope.
that's not. We're not in Kansas anymore as
No.
far as that's concerned. No.
Yeah, if we actually had a true count of how many people call this place home, we would actually qualify for 2 representatives in the House of Representatives.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's that? 20,000 people?
30.
30,000. Okay.
We're at least 70,000
Yeah,
people.
There's more than that.
And on the books, it's about 32.
Okay.
So that's we would have at least 2 House reps of our own. This little village in New York. So that's what we have. We've got Adel and Matt and myself here. We got some news. We're going to open up the lines, see how everybody's feeling as we're knocking on the door of the weekend, and yeah, away we go. Hey, take a look at this. Over on that Mario Nawful guy, did a little bit of a syndication of Euro news and population updates. Listen to this. For the first time since 1960, the EU's live births dropped below 4 million, with just 3.88 million babies born in 2022. So that means the average fertility rate is now 1.46, 2.1 being replacement, and or they say global average of 2.27 is that's a little bit above replacement. But Malta 1.08, Spain 1.16. You know what I mean? And Italy 1.24, Greece 1.32, Cyprus 1.37. That means, gentlemen, that every year there are less Spanish people, less Italians, less Grecian people in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less and less every year.
There's a lot of countries that are struggling with this right now, aren't there? Isn't like Korea another one that's basically dying off because they're not having kids either? I feel like this is pretty common around the world right now.
Well, there's a lot of countries trying to incentivize it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to blame this completely. The only there's a lot that's going on. There's an environmental aspect to infertility as far as what we're eating, how we're drinking, what we're breathing, how we're being medicated, things like that. But then there's also this. Part of the reason why the population is crashing is look no further than this girl. I breastfeed my 7 dolls and care for them like they're real babies. I don't care what the haters think. She's doing the best she can. This is on the New York Post. Kelly Cunningham has always wanted to be a mother, but without a baby of her own. It's like, how can you find one of those, right? Without a baby of her own, the New York native is breastfeeding her dolls. That's a doll. There's the mentally ill Kelly. The Ronkonkoma resident bought a Reborn doll on her 27th birthday and says she quickly felt her maternal instincts kick in. I couldn't just help to want to care for Jennifer like a real child, Cunningham, now 29, told the caters of her beloved life-like doll. She said, I can't explain how it happened, but I suddenly got so attached to her and spent that week buying her clothes and eventually her own bed that sits next to the end of my bedroom. My dad explained to me it was normal to have that desire to be a parent now that I'm in my late 20s. I didn't really question why I love these dolls so much as real children. Cunningham isn't the only one to become emotionally attached to dolls. Reborn dolls are known to be used as a form of therapy to provide a sense of comfort and connection for people struggling with infertility, infant loss, or dementia. Now, I can see, especially the dementia, there is something really incredible about putting a child in the hands of an elderly person. Like my grandmother, in the I don't know, 5-6 years before she died, she started. I had less and less cogent conversations with her, but there would be very clear days, and even on the days that weren't that clear, especially when I brought Aurora over to her, or one of Aurora's cousins who were just born over the last 4 or 5 years, and we got to put her in. Oh man, what a baby does to unlock a person, their core memories, the songs that my grandmother sang to Aurora, the poems, the rhymes, all that stuff. I totally see it.
Yeah.
This girl though, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's better some people don't reproduce, Frank.
I just, you think about that. You know, Adel, before Matt got here, you and I were talking about certain periods of time over the last 5 years, especially that 2020 to 2022 area.
Yeah.
A lot of people were thrown off track.
Yeah.
You know, getting into shape. Some people stop working out. Some people just, you stay inside more. You're watching more television. You're just sitting on the couch, ordering Uber a little bit more. You're struggling to maintain the normalcy that you had. And it put a strain on so many relationships, not because just for a couple of, you know, for a year and a half, people were encouraged by government to stay in. But then there were so many political considerations and pressures that came along with the years that followed that I really think people are fucking slipping. Even it comes down to even driving.
Yeah.
The people on the road. What do you guys think about people on the road? There's something.
I mean, I could just talk about today the number of people driving under the speed limit in the passing lane.
Under.
Like, yeah, it's insane. Like the amount of people I had to pass on the right hand side just because they would not move over. It's just people don't know how to drive anymore. It's infuriating.
You know, I made this comment too. It's more, you know, there's a lot less intelligent driving out there, but people are also angrier as they become more unintelligent. And it's one thing to be stupid and happy, and I'd prefer that. You know, I make a mistake. Oops, I'm sorry. You're courteous, whatever. But I feel like everybody's a little bit more zonked out, and at the same time, they're angry, especially if you beep, because they're obviously being driven by something else, or they're distracted. What do you feel about that, Matt?
Yeah, people do stupid shit. I beep, and then they give me a dirty look.
You have been driving. Have you been driving the actual garbage truck though recently? Have you tried that?
I drove it, but no, not recently.
Do people get out of your way? Do you have problems with people, or are they more reverent for garbage?
It's when I'm working, I almost get hit by cars. Like people just like are impatient.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I would not want to be doing if I was doing, you know, sanitation. Is just dodging cars all the time. There's a lot of impatience around here. Anyway, this breastfeeding. The breastfeeding is something else, though. I did my research with the Reborn community, so I already knew that breastfeeding a doll was frowned upon. She said it's also impossible. She looked back on it. I should have kept it to myself because I made a lot of people mad admitting it. Let me get back to this here.
Frank, where do you rank this with like men that are trying to breastfeed? Because we've seen this too. You know, it's right up there, that same level of insanity, right?
Well, you know, the crazy thing is, the disgusting thing is, I haven't seen one of these headlines in a while. Obviously, we know who makes babies.
Yes.
So if somebody that changes their name, cuts their hair, lops off their breasts, becomes pregnant, maybe the Harvard College would say this is a pregnant man. You know, all the smart people would say this is a pregnant man. Well, we know exactly what's going on here. But when it actually comes to real biological men, you can do things to make a man lactate. What comes out of him is I don't know what the hell it is, but the fact that there are guys that we've had those conversations and those stories break recently where these trans couples or whatever that are acquiring children and all that other stuff, and the man wants to be able to breastfeed and complete a journey into womanhood. They're taking some kind of drug cocktail to make something come out of their nipples, and the fact that you're going to feed that to a child, the fact that some people are willing to do that, and that there are some medical institutions that think that the way needs to be paved for that to be possible.
It's
well, I mean, what is it? I would love for somebody to come. Is it milk? Is it?
I don't know, but it can't be good for you. It can't be healthy for the baby, and it's terrifying that this is like our Western medicine, Western science, like that. We accept this as something that's acceptable and we should be open to.
Yeah, science does. I don't think the West does.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the tunnel? Did you hear about the Midtown tunnel?
There's a new tunnel.
No, the Queens Midtown Tunnel started leaking. There's somebody, a contractor at, it's a barge. A barge drifted, look at this, drifted 50 feet down East River before drilling a hole in the Queens Midtown Tunnel. New video shows water gushing into the Queens Midtown Tunnel earlier in the week after a hole was mistakenly drilled into it by a subcontractor, and now there's a better sense of what led up to the incident that halted and snarled commuters for hours. Repairs have begun on the tunnel 2 days after a contractor working for the New York City Economic Development Corporation mistakenly drilled a small hole in the outer casing of the tunnel while doing preliminary work for the East River Esplanade.
He's gone.
I don't know, depending on who he is.
Never working there again.
He might just have been demoted or moved to another place, depending on who he is. From that 2.5-inch hole on the outside edge of the tunnel, water was able to get through to the south tube. Look at this. Hold on. I think I have it over here.
Oh, wow.
Take a look at the watch. Ready? This is what people were sharing. That doesn't look like a 2-inch hole. But then again, it's the weight of the river on top of it.
Sure.
That's just nuts. And people were driving through this. It's coming through all the vents on top of the cars. I can't imagine. Imagine that thing just caves in. Very, very strange how low quality all of the video that has come out on this is too. But people were driving through all of the water, and that would have made me nervous as hell. I hate the tunnels as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got any tunnels over there in Pittsburgh?
Lots of them.
Really?
Yeah.
That go under the water?
No, they go through hills, basically through.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Nothing underwater, I don't think.
Driving through a mountain is fine.
Yeah.
I don't think the mountain's not going to fall apart.
Yeah.
No, they're not nearly as scary as that right there.
You remember that movie? What's the movie with Sly?
Daylight.
And that's with the tunnel in there?
Yeah, I think that was wasn't that the Holland Tunnel, right?
I think
Lincoln Tunnel.
I don't know. It's one of those. It was definitely in New York. So that's the first thing I thought about was Sylvester Stallone saving all those people.
Yeah, he did all the stunts in that movie. That actually was a real disaster. There just happened to be cameras there.
I heard he actually insisted that they blow apart the tunnel and they actually cave it in so that he can do this. They did it.
Actor.
It is, yeah. No, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for The Perfect Shot, as Matt knows. Let's see here. In New York, I was trying to get Sal Greco to call in tonight, but he's not available. He's going to be down like in the Miami area having a good time. But I think he might call in sometime next week. Did you guys see this, yous guys? The feds raid the home of NYPD commish Edward Caban and others close to Adams' allies.
Building the case.
I don't know what the hell it is.
They're getting evidence ready for what's going to happen for the takeover. That's going to happen.
The feds hit NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban, I don't know, and members of the nation's biggest police force this week amid a stunning spate of raids on others in Mayor Eric Adams' inner circle. I'm sure Eric Adams is not going to take to the press today, have a press conference and brag about how there's a whole lot of chocolate running New York City like it did a couple of months ago. Look at all this chocolate, he said. Amid stunning space. Now, agents showed up at the homes of Caban, Deputy Mayor Public Safety Phil Banks, and the townhouse shared by School Chancellor David Banks and First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, with search warrants early Wednesday and seized their electronic devices, according to law enforcement sources. Phil and David Banks' brother, Terrence Banks, a former MTA official who has turned to consulting work, was also targeted in the actions. Now, as far as what's going on here, Eric Adams has made it seem like this is all some kind of federal backlash for him being critical of the migrant crisis, which is ridiculous because if he's really very critical about it and serious, he can just get everybody out of the city.
Right.
But Sal Greco, the last time he was on, he insisted, no, this is not about This is not about him not playing ball or being a perfect cheerleader for all of the illegal immigration stuff that's going and running through New York. But I forgot what he was telling me, because there's just a long sordid history in that in those circles of people that go back decades. So we have to have a little bit more of an update with Sal Greco coming up this week, and that'll be an interesting one. You know, on Monday night, remember, we've got not only Jeremy Ryan Slate in the studio, but we're going to have Roger Stone on the phone. We got a lot of things to ask him. Some stuff about Nixon for sure, but I also want to ask him about what he sees coming down the pike right now, because now we're less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
Think about that, guys.
It's heating up, man. 2024 disappeared. It's so fast.
Where the hell was 2023? I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Really? Absolute time warp.
I don't know.
Simulation.
It feels
Just
that
on
way.
double speed right now.
You've got just a little over 60 days.
I'm gonna die soon, possibly.
Matt has vowed that he's going to end his life if Trump doesn't win.
There's no point.
So he's really put his back against the wall here.
I'm gonna jump off of something high.
He's got himself a good job, and then came the election. All right, so that's the end of that. There is a leak in the Midtown tunnel that's getting plugged, and then there is a lot of other things being shaken up in the NYPD and the mayor's inner circles. Did you hear about this? Now I know that you're a Steelers fan, right?
I mean, yeah, I used to be. I'm not like emotionally attached to the game anymore, but yeah, I watch the Steelers.
Understood.
Yeah.
I know Pittsburgh is
Yes.
It's a world unto itself.
It's a drinking town with a football problem.
Right. Well, I mean, the Eagles on the other side of the state, they're down in Brazil right now. You know about that?
No.
The Eagles and the Packers are playing, I believe, a game tonight. It's a Friday night football game in Brazil. They're trying to spread the game.
Okay, I knew they were doing that in London every year, but I didn't realize they were going to South America. South America too.
There's a London game. There's a Brazil game this year. I don't know if there's something else that's going on there, but Eagles players, they are feared for their lives. There's actually, there is a Yankee play-by-play commentator. His name is Ricky Ricardo, and I think he does the Spanish broadcast. I actually hope that he takes Jon Stewart's place. John Sterling's place.
Told me he could do like Desi Arnaz sayings.
He's got a rich voice. You can tell he is a native Spanish speaker, or at least a very good fluent one. But he has great recall. He has he just has a good, kind of like strolling baseball, talk about this and that kind of a voice for radio. I really like him. And if anybody's going to step into John Sterling's role, I think it'd be him. Anyway, he was talking about this a couple of weeks ago because Ricky Ricardo was going down to Brazil to cover some of this. And what he was saying is that the Eagles and the Packers, because they both have very predominantly, Packers a little bit more yellow, but they have green. Mm-hmm. They're a lot more green. Well, whatever the home football soccer team down there in Brazil is, mm-hmm. they're hated rivals. Like, and we know soccer rivalries is we talk about people bred in circuses up here with football and baseball.
Yeah.
But soccer around the world is you'll get your head cut off.
Yeah, you get killed.
Now we'll flip over some cars, but maybe some legs will get broken if you have a bad bet you can't pay up on. But we're talking about beheadings.
Yeah.
With soccer. They're hated rivals down there in Brazil. Their team colors is that green. I think a darker green too. Like so the Eagles have to wear a black uniform, and I don't know what kind of uniform the Packers are going to wear. I guess they're going to go to like yellow or whatever, but they have to avoid wearing green because they fear for anybody that is in the stadium that is wearing those colors. Or they don't want to have any actual gang-related violence befall anybody that's attending these events. That's how serious they are about making sure that these uniforms have been altered for tonight.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Don't the Packers have like a really hideous alternate jersey?
It's like, like green, blue and yellow stripes or some shit like that.
They should wear that ugly shit.
It's some real weird
No. The canary. You're talking about the canary yellow and blue,
right?
That's the alternative Eagles.
No, I think the Packers have a really ugly one too, but I don't know. I can't remember. It might be a different team. I could have swore the Packers had some
The old
goofy
school
alternate
throwback shit.
Don't the Jets go to like black and yellow or navy blue and yellow with their throwbacks? You're a Jets guy.
Yeah, but they don't have. I feel like the Packers have like bars on their shit.
Well, I'll take a look at that over the course of the opening here. In fact, let's just do that right now. I have a lot of great stuff that we can do, ladies and gents, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to leave the line open when I come back from this intro, and yeah, you're going to be hanging out with me, Matt, and Adel, and I hope that you are part of it as well. It's Friday night, so I like to leave the lines open, naked, and come bearing gifts. Tell us what's on your mind. Make it very interesting. People love interesting calls. We'll be right back.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Yes. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have you aboard. The lines are open. It's 914-200-0269. It's a Friday, so we'll keep it nice and easy. We already have in the super chats, quite frankly, superchat.com. Quite frankly, superchat.com. That is a universal super chat for everybody. We already have a few that came in, so let's just get to those. Gino says, I love when my boy Jay Dyer joins. Great conversation last night, Francis. Please check out the podcast, Stand to Reason. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. Oh, wait. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. That's an interesting line. And Cold Case Christianity. Great apologetics that logically answer all of these questions that we had last night. And now we have two from Big Tane. Says, happy Friday, gentlemen. I drive for a living, and I could fully attest to the fact that drivers are getting stupid crazy these days. Too many people rushing around, obviously driving distracted, tailgating, expecting everything to run perfectly. It is nuts. It is. It is. And it's very dangerous it's a very dangerous situation to get mad because you just don't know what a person's capable of. Everybody is on the brink. Big Tane again says, great show last night, Frank. For a great guest on all things religion and Christianity, please check out the work of Michael L. Brown. Has a radio show called The Line of Fire, and don't worry, he's not a Russian spy or a Putin stooge. Oh, we wouldn't want that. Leasebreaker says, it is a special edition of Taking It Back. Shout out to Adel. And what's going on, Matt? There you go. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. There you guys. There you go.
What's up?
There you go. Matt and Adel, everybody's hanging out. It is a special edition. Okay, all right. So, first things first, speaking of Russian stooges, I just want to see what you guys think about this. The first one up is, let's hold on. You know what? Another call coming in. Let's just take this. Rhonda, is that you?
It's Rose.
Hello, Rhonda?
Yep, from Alabama.
How are you? Good to have you on.
Oh, I'm great. They're some of my favorite men.
Well,
I mean, I'll start with Matt. Matt, he's my spirit animal. He touches my primitive woman.
I get a lot of that in the. Please, I love Friday night shows. Matt is my spirit animal. He's touching all different parts of me. Shit like that. I get that a lot.
and Adel, I've known Adel for years. You know, I feel like some of y'all are my other children.
How many children do you have?
I have three. My daughter passed away last year, but
Very sorry to hear that.
I was the neighborhood mom, so wherever we were, there were like 10 kids in the house all the time. And they still come by. They're like, hey, Bama, at the grocery store and everything, because all my grandkids call me Bama, like Bama.
Absolutely. Well, were your children tonight, Rhonda?
Well, my son's home with his two children in Tennessee, and my other daughter is working, but they're getting ready to go to Disney tomorrow. I was like, why Disney? But they do it every year for like 5 days, and I'm like, okay. But my granddaughter is 17, so it's not like she's taking a 5-year-old. They're doing a mom and daughter trip.
There's something about Disney. Matt, have you ever been to Disney?
No.
What about you, Adel?
Last time I was down there, I think I was like 15 or 16 years old with the family. So yeah, I've been to Disney.
You've been to Disney World though, not Disneyland?
In Florida, whatever one that is.
Okay,
yeah.
Is that where they're going, Rhonda?
Yeah, the Florida one. Yeah. We don't go out west of the Mississippi much.
Okay. Well, hey, that's good. Whatever it is, I hope that they have a good time out there. I'm glad that you were the first call tonight.
Well, and Adel knows my shovel story, and I'm just like, for years I've been like, let's just keep shoveling. Let's just keep shoveling, because like we said, what's that saying? When you're going through hell, keep going, because there's an end somewhere.
That's it. No, yeah. Well, we all have our shovels ready. Matt, Rhonda, thank you for the call. Adel, tell us what the shovel story is.
So basically, father says there's like a surprise to two kids in their bedrooms.
I know the story. She told us. I think she told. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they both go up to their bedrooms, and they're just filled with pony shit, basically. One kid starts crying because he thought there was going to be a pony, and all he got was shit. And then the other kid, he just starts shoveling. And when the dad asks, what are you doing? He's like, well, there's got to be a pony around here somewhere.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Just two different attitudes you could take towards,
Can you imagine how big the pony we're going to get in 2025 is then? Because we are swimming in shit right now.
Yeah.
Swimming in
Yes. Yeah. It's like neck deep.
There's got to be a golden pony somewhere. Anyway, the line, we'll keep the lines open. Where is it? Call in. I'll keep that over the top. 914-200-0269. Let's just jump to this. Because, Adel, I don't really have... I mean, you and Zach did a little bit of this last night. But here is from 2 days ago. I saved this just so that we can talk on it. The headline reads as follows. Secret Russian influence campaign paid $10 million to prop up right-wing U.S. commentators in indictment. Now, that's the first thing. Do you think that any of the people who were doing shows at Tenet Media, who already were so well established on their own and didn't actually need Tenet, but probably just said, okay, this offer sounds nice. I know these other people. I'll do an extra show over here and pad my income or whatever the hell it is. Do you think that they needed to be propped up? Did Tim Pool need to be propped up?
No, I think Tim Pool was doing just fine. And same with Benny Johnson and Matt Christensen and a lot of those other guys that got wrapped up in this. All of them were well established, like you said, had big following, successful channels. It's just nonsense. Right wing just means contrary to whatever the official narrative on something is. So it has nothing to do with right or left when it comes to politics. It's simply, do I buy the bullshit that they're selling me, through the official channels? And if you don't, right wing is just a quick way to trigger people into an emotional response where they won't even consider what you have to say anymore. Yeah, that's all it is.
I read it onto the record last night. I forgot. I think it was Mother Jones. Mother Jones, because people like them are having a field day. They went and they took out different parts of this in indictment that pretty much say that they were carrying water for Putin because they were talking about immigration as being something that leads to violence and replacement and disruption of native populations, and of course elections, that they were critical of inflation, which the official narrative is inflation is the lowest it's been in years and everything's just hunky-dory, and the only reason why that it's costing hundreds and hundreds of dollars more to put food on your table for everybody at home is because the grocery stores and the farmers are gouging everybody. They just decided to price gouge now.
Yeah.
So essentially, everything that you can look out of your own window, most of what the media puts out there is a big projection of the sky is falling, and the only real way to get through this is to be voting for this small group of people who are only going to invariably make the problem worse. But if you look out your window and you forget about all of the national sensationalism that's going on, and you actually just go down to the farmer's market, or you go down to the grocery store, or you see, the vagrancy in your town, your city, whatever the hell's going on there, and you know how it's impacting you. You know how bad it is objectively. Now everybody who notices what is going wrong where they live is really just unwittingly carrying Russian propaganda around with them. It's just disinformation. It's not real life. What we feel in our pockets and our checking accounts, it's not real. It's just we were duped by Putin.
It's the lamest scapegoat I've ever, it's so ridiculous, the premise of all of this, that Russia has this huge effect on political dissent in this country, that anyone that disagrees with what you're hearing is all of a sudden just spreading Russian disinformation. The level of projection coming from these news sources and even the DOJ and the establishment as a whole is insane. They're just constantly pumping disinformation out there into the ether, while accusing anyone that disagrees or calls it out of being disinformation agents themselves. And yeah, it's infuriating, especially doing what we do.
Oh, I know.
It's they lie with impunity. It's like, how many stories have any of these mainstream media companies had to retract over the past 10 years? Tons of them. They look at the original Russia collusion lies and the lies about the COVID origins, and I mean you can go down a huge list. Where we get kicked off and banned, demonetized, demonized. Where's the FCE? Taking down CNN, or putting sanctions on MSNBC or any of these major news networks when they're caught in a lie.
Yeah, I know.
They just move on and they just keep going with impunity, probably subsidized by black budgets throughout the government and CIA with the Operation Mockingbird and whatnot. Yet us with our few hundred followers or few thousand followers or whatever on social media with a fraction of the reach. We're the real problem in this country.
And Matt, what do you think about this? Because you're a chief Russian propagandist.
No, definitely not. No ties to Russia. I don't even believe it. I think it's something they just made up to just say Russia and right wing.
Well, no, I can't wait. Now, I don't know if this goes away because, of course, this is, as I said before, it's a little bit different because when you know people involved, the only one I really know is Matt Christensen. We're good friends. Mm-hmm. So it hits close to home, and I make considerations as to I empathize with how he's feeling right now.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you take a step back and you look at this dispassionately, I mean the fact the patterns are just so recognizable at this point. September 2024, the DOJ. Now, as far as where, I can't wait to see when the well was poisoned, where the money came from, if it actually gets traced back. We might get answers in February of next year that shows that this was okay. Was it really was it the Kremlin or was it? And
it doesn't even matter to them.
It doesn't matter.
They just want the narrative right now. They want to be able to say that anyone that disagrees with us is working on behalf of the Kremlin. It's the same thing with these indictments and lawfare against Donald Trump. They want the headline, convicted felon, or it's 4 times indicted or 2 times impeached. They don't care about the final outcome or where it goes or what the actual consequences are. They want to clog the news cycle. They want to put these talking points out there and just poison the conversation any way they can.
Yeah.
To steer people away from thinking any way other than how they want you to think.
Well, let's take another call. 651, you're on the air with Adel and Matt and myself.
Why, good evening, guys. This is Kevin calling in, and I have a question about the shooter, the child who's currently in court.
Yes, I've seen a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My question.
What?
I am accustomed that when we have children in active court cases, that we try to protect their identities and perhaps blur their faces. And I'm wondering, am I out of my mind, or is this something new, where even if a child is being tried as an adult, giving the consideration that they're currently going through due process, do we no longer protect children? Do you see where I'm going with this?
If you ask the question, I don't remember the last time that a minor school shooter suspect has had the much more than just a couple of days worth of protection as far as their identity goes. I don't know how you can do it. I know they do a lot better job protecting the identities of victims. But I'm just trying to think of, because we see these stories pop up. This is another very cyclical thing that you can track patterns with. We live through this all the time now, and I can't even remember. I can't remember the last time that we even went a couple of days without not only knowing the shooter's name, their face, but we're getting everything down to their second grade report cards. So there's so much information that's put out there so quickly. So. It's a question that I don't really have an answer for, because I don't remember the last time that an identity was covered up.
Answer for it.
What
was the kid? 17 years old.
I don't know.
He's old enough to know right from wrong. So why the hell should he be protected? It's not like a 5-year-old accidentally shot someone. The kid knew what he was doing. So why the fuck should he have any type of protection?
Maybe there's somebody
because
else.
We have due process. That's why.
Due process.
And until the due process
Yeah.
until he's found guilty.
I hear that he's found guilty. Do we know that he did it 100%? Yes or no? Fuck due process in this case.
I know what the news has told us.
But wait a second. But he's getting his trial.
He's getting his trial. You're correct. He's getting due process, but he has not been found guilty yet.
So why does he deserve protection?
But see, that's the whole thing.
He's a child.
All right. Well, maybe somebody out there can
17 years old. All right. He's 1 year away from being technically an adult, even though he was 17, knew right from wrong.
Hey.
So we shouldn't be protecting these people.
Go ahead, caller.
I can understand your sentiment on that. If we start removing protections because of the severity of one's crime, how long will it be until we remove all protections from children and start equating children to adults, which would open the floodgates for the predators who are currently trying to equate children to adults?
Are you a liberal?
No.
Here's what I don't understand, sir. Is this? If you have a situation like now to even talk about the greater, like all the other details that are coming out, I only know a little bit about the situation. I know that they went after the father. The father's been charged now. I know that there's a little bit more coming out about potential motive because of identity issues and sexuality or gender or whatever. So
I've heard.
It's going to be interesting to see how this is even just handled going forward in the media, as far as how it's going to be reported on, because everything needs to be tightly controlled. As far as a 17-year-old, I mean, a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old who does something, who at least at the time can be placed at a place with a gun, is on camera, whatever the hell it is. I just don't remember a time where that would, their names, unless they are the victim, I don't know when they would ever have the courtesy. I mean, they're getting due process right now. I don't understand when they would get the courtesy of having this entire thing zipped up where nobody even knows who they are. I don't even I can't recall a time where that was ever a thing.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to like Columbine, I'm pretty sure we knew the names of those guys pretty much right away, didn't we?
Yeah. So
that's what I'm wondering. It's like, I do remember it though. I do remember when minors had protections under the law while going through due process.
Well,
for what kind of crime? Not a mass murder at a school.
That's just it though. Were any of us there to actually witness it? We were only shown what was shown to us through the media.
Well, here's what I'll say, and thank you for the call. I would like to invite people to call in. Hopefully somebody can get through and give a little bit, especially if you work somewhere within that, you know, within the law, and you can tell us why where this was, if this was ever not the case or something like that. I was listening to an old Coast to Coast. I was on, you know, TalkStream Live last night, and it was just all Coast to Coast, you know, reruns from, I think this particular episode was from 1996. And one of the stories that were being covered in the beginning of the episode was an attempted murder that a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old was being charged, possibly as an adult. I forget what the hell he was saying, but the 5 or 6-year-old was being charged for attempted murder. He had gone into somebody else's home and tried to and almost beat an infant to death. This is from 1996.
Wow.
I wish I could have remembered last night, because I didn't know that it was going to be germane to this evening, whether or not that they were talking about the kid's name and how that was being handled. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like that is a, you know, if you're a 17-year-old, 15, 16-year-old, it doesn't seem like a courtesy anybody is afforded or should be. What the hell does it matter?
Yeah, I'm with Matt on this. Like, if, you know, there's like security footage and you place the person there and it's pretty obvious, like the evidence is pretty definitive, like I don't think they should be afforded.
Well, even if it's, I mean, and that's the other thing. If it's a financial crime, or let's say that it's something with no real, it's not like a victim, a crime where somebody was killed, and it's something that was done a little bit more shadowy. It's a crime through the internet. It's financial or something like that. At that point, like, how do you cover that trial? Let's say, for example, a child, a very, very crafty 17-year-old, defrauds a bank for millions of dollars. Is that entire trial going to be done in secret? Because it's not going to be covered. They're going to be given a John Doe number 1 because they're not 18. I don't know how that works. It actually doesn't seem like it even matters at that point.
In that case, so that
even if they're innocent, they're innocent.
That leads to a whole bunch of different. Like, I think about like the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and I don't think he was a minor, but I wonder how that would have gone differently if it wasn't broadcast or you wasn't like open to see, right? Because I think a lot of people are kind of watching that closely, and I think it helped to debunk a lot of the narrative around what happened there. So if you do all that in secret, you know, I mean, we know our Justice Department isn't perfect, or our system of justice isn't perfect. Like, I feel like it'd be easier to railroad somebody or have some kind of miscarriage of justice when everything's done in secret or sealed up like that.
I hope that everybody out there we get somebody to call in on that can give us a little bit more, another layer of insight on that particular thing. Let me see here. I just want to make sure I see, there might be somebody that gives me I saw, like, I was tagged in something over here. Revolution in the Gilded Chat says it seems like a question for either Chris Ann Hall or Robert Barnes. AK said their names are spoken out because it's the number one thing those in charge want to control, gun rights, so they always put out on display for the world to know everything. Yeah, well, if it wasn't, but again, if it wasn't, let's just take this and let's put it into another arena where the crime was not one where people lost their lives. It wasn't violent. Let's say it was electronic and it was financial in nature. If you're not 18, how are you not covered? I don't know. Let's take a call. 760, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, I am?
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Let me turn this down.
Thank you.
Well, if it wasn't, but again, if it wasn't.
Okay. I agree with Matt. I'm calling to say I agree with Matt. I'm also calling to say I watch every Friday like the other lady because of Matt. And I called you guys about 4 years ago, right after the election, and told you guys with force, this is going to get fixed. I'm telling you guys right now. And I'm sure you hung up and laughed, but I'm just here to say nothing got fixed. So I had to call because of the caller I just listened to. I think I'm a couple minutes behind you guys.
Wait. So you said you wanted to call up because 4 years ago you called last and you said that everything, when you say everything's going to get fixed, you meant the country?
the country, the election.
Oh, I
The
wasn't.
election.
I promise you this, my friend. I was not laughing at you. There are people who make assessments, both rosy and dark, for a number of reasons, and many of them are valid. And it's not like I want to live without hope, but at the same time, we're starting to see that it's the momentum is going in one way, and I think instead of us trying to stop the steamroller, we need to almost like sidestep the steamroller and do something. We need something else than just trying to stop it in its tracks. And that's why I keep talking about divesting a lot of hope out of this whole notion that the federal government is going to be reformed. It is irredeemable because it is a mutant replacement of what was actually created by our founders. So it's not something that is worthy of reform. It needs to be dismantled and put back into its proper its proper lane. But I would never have gotten off and rolled my eyes at you, Jennifer.
And I'm just joking, because I was one of those people. I knew, where we go all, blah, 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 yada, yada. And in the last 4 years, I've come to find out, we're where we're at, and it will get fixed or not with the grace of God. And I feel we don't need any government, really. But that's just from an old lady's prospect.
Well, listen, if you live in a small town or a village or city or anything else like that is pretty self-sufficient, then I think that chief among all, that there is you don't need the federal government. That it's become it was at one point a luxury that has now turned into a really dangerous addiction, and there's not left. I mean, we are what was once a methadone drip is now literally sucking dick for coke. Well, I mean, it's bad right now.
And honestly, using that, like carrying that analogy forward, you typically have to hit rock bottom before you change, right? When you're an addict or you're all messed up like that. So I feel like that's kind of the process we're going through. Is we have to bottom out in a way to get people to actually wake up to the reality of where this is going and the trajectory that it's on.
Well, what do you think about bottoming out? There's still a lot of people. I'm very curious, because I know that one of these election cycles in our lifetime, I can't see how they allow this to continue to go on without interruption every 2 to 4 years. Midterm, presidential, whatever. I cannot see it. The people are becoming harder and harder to wrangle. Of course, if they're able to put, legally, you want to use that term loosely, put tens of millions of foreigners on the voter rolls and actually have no way to stop them from vote. I mean, that's where you can keep this going, where that the native population has been completely successfully supplanted by a foreign underclass of dependent people who don't care about anything but allowing the gravy train to keep rolling, even though they don't understand that our federal government has no money. We're massively in debt. We're in far worse financial situation in some cases than many of their home nations are. So I have quite a few friends who still don't have all the confidences in the world that we're even going to have an election in November. Then again, it's less than 2 months away. We're going to know soon. Let's take a call. 575. You're on the air.
Hey, what up, Frank?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, not a lot. I was just wanted to comment on that one individual.
Go ahead.
Well, the way I see it is, I would side with what Matt's saying there. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but when you were 17, you're not really a child anymore.
You're not a child at 10 when it comes to murder.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm talking about, and that's why I also wanted to put the caveat out there for anybody who can give us a little bit of, insight as to what a nonviolent crime would be, a so-called white collar crime where they learn how to game a system like a Sam Bankman-Fried. Like if Sam Bankman-Fried out there, who was obviously helping a lot of people in power right now funnel a lot of money into their campaigns, you wonder how many of the hundreds of millions that Kamala Harris, quote unquote, raised over the last few weeks, how much of those dollars actually initiated in our federal government, coming out of the bank into Ukraine, out through God knows however many digital means, and then washed back into these campaigns. Who the hell knows? But
I mean, you've seen the Act Blue thing that James O'Keefe did, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying, let's say it's Sam Bankman-Fried, who is an integral player in that one particular scheme.
Yeah.
Let's say he's 15 years old. How is he handled by a court system, especially if it's, it's not a crime that doesn't get more than regional attention? And when it's a national story or something like that, what do you do?
Whose responsibility even is it to keep him anonymous? Like if the media gets his name, is it against the law for them to put it out there?
Right.
Like who does that even fall on? Would be my question. Like whose responsibility is it to even keep it a secret?
And that's the other thing. There are plenty of people at that we can talk about what causes school shootings all the time. We can go into the depths of Bill Cooper, and we can talk about Orion programs and we have in the past. But if we're just going to talk surface level, anybody who is at the scene, anybody who actually knows personally, I mean, every witness imaginable is interviewed there at the scene by the media.
Exactly.
And if there's any kind of consensus from the children there as to who was responsible or who was seen holding a gun at the scene, I mean, that the name is out there. So I don't even know if it's necessarily the courts that put this kid in the limelight. I mean, I don't
think it's possible not to.
Right.
And I mean, just the environment we live in right now, where we're so polarized. Everyone wants to look at who the person is, how they identify, what race they are, because right and left, like we want to. See, this is your fault. This is your fault. If it's a white guy with an AR-15, there's a narrative to spin. You look at what happened in Tennessee with the trans shooter, and we're making a big deal out of who that person was on our side of things. Like everyone has kind of their own agenda to expose and have their own talking points and narratives with these things. It's just I don't see how it's ever going to be any different.
Well, the kid in Georgia, I had a couple of Jay Britz just told me this in Super Chat, and then it also just came in from Delona on the Gilded, said that the kid in Georgia is 14 and on the FBI radar, of course.
Oh, of course they are.
And his dad gave him the gun. So that's why the dad's been charged with like manslaughter or whatever. And I'd have to imagine that's going to become more and more the focus, since as of today, with what little I know about this, there's writing about trans, gay, this or that, acceptance. So that is going to kind of muddy. The media is going to start doing its normal dicing and slicing of the story to keep it focused on something they can't. For example, in Tennessee, it took less than 2 weeks for them to take the Tennessee thing, and when they found out about it having a trans mental health focus on it all, they switched it into almost like a civil. Remember, they turned it into a youth civil rights march, and they put that one guy, that Tennessee state representative, at the beginning of it. He was kicked out of the state Congress for a little bit. Then it became about him coming back in. He was like a superstar for 2.5 weeks. Wore the white suit and all that shit. And you can see the coordination, how these things are so, they're so steered and manipulated.
Yeah, that schools. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. So I don't really think they care about names as much as how this can be the least damaging tool of propaganda. They don't care about who dies. They don't care about whose name is out there, because they're using it right now in a very timely way for people who are floundering politically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that school shooter was 17. He's only 14.
That's what people are telling me right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense why that one caller, after hearing his voice, he probably just wants to adopt him or something.
Well,
have a twink in his basement or something. Since you don't have a dad anymore.
Just somebody.
Bye, later.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I don't think that no matter who the hell he is, what his name is, and how old he is, I don't think that he's going to be out and about anytime soon. So, All right, let's take another call. 620, where you can talk about anything. This has popped up. If you have any kind of information on this, there's also the Russia propping up alternative media. That's another one. Go ahead, sir.
What's going on, fellas?
How are you? Well, everything's all right over here, I think.
So this is about the school shooter, and I understand what that caller was saying, is kind of as far as like we just kind of need lines for protection, and if we have them, then stick by them. So what about this for you? What if that shooter was 12 years old and went in and shot up a 7th grade class?
I knew what murder was when I was 12.
Yeah, that's what I only hear. Here's something that just came in right now on the Gilded. And I think that this is AK in the Gilded is doing a little bit of real-time research. Said underage school shooters are often not afforded anonymity due to public interest in understanding and preventing such tragedies. The media and public have a strong desire to know the identity and background of the shooter, to comprehend the motives and circumstances that led to the incident. This can lead to a lack of anonymity for the shooter, especially in high-profile cases. Additionally, the legal system in the United States often treats serious crimes like school shootings differently from other juvenile offenses. In many jurisdictions, if a minor is charged with a violent crime such as a school shooting, their identity may be disclosed, especially if they are tried as an adult. This is partly because the crime is considered a matter of public safety and concern. That just seems logical to me and consistent with the pattern that we see. On the other hand, victims, they say names have been changed to protect the innocent and all that. I know that victims' families have a little bit more. They have a little bit more say in the matter. But like people in the chat room are very rightfully saying there too that kids talk. And when something happens, especially at a crowded place, when it's not like someone was found dead in their home and it was an obvious murder and there was no witnesses and we're working on it. But when you got so many people there saying this is who did it, you can't tell the press not to report on it. So I don't think,
No.
yeah, so that there's that.
And I agree. I think we should also start releasing their medical records. Let's see what drugs all these folks are on when they go shoot up all these schools.
And we got that a lot actually over the years because that was another one of those fact patterns that we were able to build over the years that we had. All on SSRIs. SSRIs, especially if the kids are trying to wean themselves off of it, or they just go cold turkey, or maybe they're still on it. But that's always a thing. There's always now it's just the meme that the FBI they were on their radar. So for everybody talking about so there's. The drugs was always a major fact pattern piece. So
I think that's probably the most common thread through these kids that shoot up schools is the pharmaceuticals that they're on. You think about it, like your brain is still developing at that age, and if you're putting kids on these antidepressants, I mean, you're like detaching them from humanity essentially. Like you're making little sociopaths essentially. I feel like so. I think if you really looked into it, I bet that's probably the most common thread is you take these kids, you put them on these ridiculous psychotropic drugs for long periods of time, and who knows what other kind of grooming or whatever is happening in the background. I bet a lot of these kids are in therapy, and who knows like what they're being fed. But again, their brains are so malleable. They're still developing. They're the perfect targets if you want to create like a little Manchurian candidate to go do something like this.
Oh yeah, well and that's where we come down to something else. And caller, is there anything else that you want to comment on?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say one, I'm pumped for the October Ouija board stories coming up.
Yes.
And then two, I kind of just wanted to say that with all the shitty stuff in the world, it's easy to get down, and I hope just everybody is still finding reasons to be happy because life's pretty kick-ass whenever you let it be. And, that's about it.
Great closing. Thank you, my man.
Yeah, y'all have a good evening and a good weekend.
Yes.
Let's go Mizzou Tigers this weekend in football, baby.
No, there you go. And I can't even tell you who's on the starting, who's starting for the Cowboys. I can't even tell you. I don't know what the hell's going on. All I know is that the Yankees are always teetering on the brink of first place, and they suck at the same time. It's just ridiculous. They have the third easiest Third easiest schedule going into October, and they can barely beat non-competitive teams.
If you're looking for sympathy from this side of the room as a Pirates fan, you're not going to get any, Frank.
I know. I'm sorry. You Pirates fans are long suffering.
You have no idea.
My, oh, my. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? We have a couple more. We got some super chats that are putting this in. Esther says, this one's for the history books. Yeah, it is. You know, you're not too far away, Adel. You should come in at least once a year.
I'd love to come back, Frank. This is a lot of fun.
Good. One day, the next time you come in, we'll do it for a couple of days so we can like cook out or something.
That'd be awesome.
Boys Blanc, thank you. Blanc also says, I'm in Adela live audience. Adela or Adel's? Adel's. Adela?
I have a live audience right now.
The live audience studio. It's Margarita night. Oh wait. In Adela live audience studio. Who's that? Is that you?
I think they're talking about me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that Boys Blanc? Is that who said that?
Boys Blanc.
Yeah.
How do you say his name?
Boys Blanc is that's how I say it.
That's how I say it.
Yeah, Boys Blanc. Yeah, we joke like he always is super chatting on my channel as well, and he's like my HR rep. He's the one that runs the green room that I don't have. It's just kind of like an inside joke. Yeah.
Just make sure everybody has a drink.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So C Blanche says cheers. Hello Dixie. CK Whitehorse. Hello. Secret Weapon. Thanks Frank. Hey Matt. Hey Adel. Filter Dog. Adel on Frank's show. Awesome. Q777. Adel. Remember puff puff pass. Keck. Kim Iowa says, hey, 412. Atwee, Doug Simmy, Thong Chaser says, nice lineup. Delona, the kid in Georgia's 14. We got that. Thank you. Delona, again, the kid in 14 on the FBI's radar, and his dad bought him a gun for Christmas after the whole FBI thing. Road Trip says, that caller made a good point. They want to abuse kids like adults, and we can't trust anything by mainstream media or FBI. Yeah. Absolutely, that's something to consider. But you know, at what point is are we talking about a spoiled?
It's not like
product.
It's not like a 15-year-old kid that fucked his high school teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the difference.
I get you, and I understand the whole idea about cycles of abuse. The abused becomes the abusers. That you know, anybody, you know, that more so than not, that there is, you know, anybody that goes out there and commits a really bad violent crime probably has a lot of violence in their past. But you know, once you get to that point, how much sympathy do you have? I mean, it's one thing to study a subject and want to know what's wrong, like, you know, the famous serial killers of the past who, after they're dead, they've been executed, their brains are studied and compared to people who are geniuses and benevolent and all that. You want to understand what the hell's going on.
I don't think there's a reason to understand. You just need to exterminate it.
You know, there's a lot, but where do you go with that? Where do you start? How do you exterminate something without knowing where it's starting? And this is why I say time and time again, I love going down those rabbit holes, and there's a lot of reasons to understand what people like, you know, Bill Cooper published in Behold a White Horse back in 1991. When you talk about the combination of media programming, sort of like, you know, universalized MK Ultra mind control that has been just adopted by media and education and everything like that, and then pharmaceuticals. There's something to be said about that. When the culture starts taking that turn, regardless of what the influences are, like what we're talking about, the shooting in with the one that created David Hogg, that whole character that was trotted out there down in Florida. You know, it was one of those things that we were saying that when you live in a country or any kind of place where the culture is seriously primed to create tragedy, I mean, that's what we are right now. And you can assign any number of factors as to why we are, you know, we're always getting this stuff. You know, whether or not the media reported on it, this would have happened. I mean, this happened somewhere. There's murders. Tens of thousands of people all over the place are getting murdered. And as much as they say that violent crime and everything else is going down, we know it's not. We know that there's a way that they're really just working with the statistics to make things look hunky-dory while we continue to get boiled. But at the same time, when you live in such a sick society, All you have to do is wait for something bad to happen. You point your cameras at it and you report on it in a very specific way, and you just ride that horse into the stable. And that's it. And I mean, is anybody surprised that we're talking about Russian propped up independent right wing media and gun control right now, less than 2 months before a major election, where I mean, there's already so much going against us.
Yeah,
it's I understand where people go with it. There's plenty of places to go. Let's take another call, then we're going to go to a quick break. It's already 10 after 8.
Damn, it's going quickly.
It always goes quickly, but this is a good gathering we have here. 903, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey Frank, hold on just a second.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was 19, I had the privilege of sitting in a jail with two guys, and basically their crime was they escaped youth corrections, and they stole a car, and like idiots, it was a diesel, and they put gasoline in it, and it broke down, 5 miles down the road, and some lady pulled over to help them because they were two young kids. They were like 16 and 15 years old. They ended up killing her and her baby. She was pregnant at the time, about 6 months. And anyway, back then, this is back in, I'm 58 right now. I was 19 back then. So it was like 89, 87, something like that. And back then, we didn't, their pictures weren't in the newspaper. Their faces weren't on TV. None of that, you know what I mean? And that was I grew up in a small town, you know what I mean? Like 10,000 people, and even though it wasn't in the town that I was from, but, I lived way out in the country, so, when they put his picture up, this guy who did this school shooting, they put his picture up like when he was like 13 or 14, the first picture. And then they put a recent picture, and, really truthfully, I agree with what that first caller was talking about, he's not been found guilty. His picture, his face, his image shouldn't be out there on the airwaves.
Yeah. Well, again, though, it's something that happened in a very, very public setting. It's a public interest. It's a mass casualty event, and it doesn't mean that they're going to come out. Let's say they're not guilty let's say it's a big shocker and they're not guilty. I mean, how many people have we followed trials publicly of all ages that turn out to be not guilty, and I mean, it's just one of those things. I understand. Well, go ahead.
I got no problem with them showing video camera footage, but not like a school picture. You know what I mean?
If that's all you got. Yeah.
And here's the reason. Here's the reason why. Okay. Here's the reason why. Is because now you got pictures of a 13, 14-year-old kid, and then now he's, 16, 17, whatever. Okay? And, it just...
What does it matter?
I think it entices people to think that a 13, 14-year-old is an adult. The pedo.
Well,
you know what I'm
saying? But we're talking about murder.
I think that's a stretch. I'll be honest.
It's a stretch. You're talking about pedophilia that they're using school shootings to say that because a sick individual at age 13 can
be considered an adult.
Considered an adult because of murder. Therefore, you can have sex with them.
It's an adult crime.
Therefore, you can have sex with them. That's the stretch you're making right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, because they're trying to prove to the
Well, they're
public.
called pedophiles for a reason. They're going to want to have sex with a kid that age anyway.
Well, pedophilia,
that's true.
pedophilia, you're talking about like 4 years old and below. That's another thing. But altogether, if we were going to get technical with it, but to say that, I don't know. And thank you for the call. Maybe somebody else will expand on that. But to say that this is in some way, I don't know, as a bonus being covered, it's murder. It's murder. I being tried as an adult for murder. I don't know how you can make the stretch that it makes it okay to have sex with a 13-year-old because some of them commit murder. I don't even, because
there's way worse than just like your everyday like Disney shows and TV and movies that does more damage in that respect than reporting on a kid that shot up a school. Like I think that's like the least of it from the angle he's coming from, as far as it making these like adults are acceptable to sexualize, I guess. And like, I mean, that covering a school shooting is the furthest from our problems when it comes to that. I mean, just flip through the channels. Like this is happening.
I mean, isn't there more than enough every day you go on the internet and you check the newsreels? Isn't there more than enough out there to show that whatever you can say about the Catholic Church and child abuse, it is dwarfed at least 2 or 3 times over by what is going on in public schools with teachers there. Yeah. I mean, that's you can start making a lot more cases about what is being normalized, what is grooming, what is abuse, but to say that because some kids commit murder, that is a way to equate them with adult, because you can commit adult something that is very adult and I don't know, is murder an adult crime? It's just, tried as an adult is just one of those levels of severity in a courtroom. But I don't see how if a 6-year-old goes and stabs a 3-year-old to death, that doesn't make them an adult. It looks like I can go date a 6-year-old now.
Right. I understand like the angle he's coming at, but I think
it's a stretch.
Yeah, I disagree with the overall premise.
But how about this? This is something that we talked about a lot as a society just about maybe 15, 20 years ago, where we would wonder, and there were studies that done on this too, where we have a very, very, we're obsessed with the macabre at this point. The old adage with the media is if it bleeds, it leads. And right now we know that true crime is one of the fastest growing genres in all media, both podcast and streaming services and all that stuff. So whenever something like this happens, people become absolutely obsessed with wanting to build their own character profiles of the people involved, the who, what, where, why, when. They want the entire slug line, laid out there. But in the past, it was very, very, loudly protested that we should not be putting so much attention with, weeks and months worth of profiles on an individual who commits an act of, mass murder for one stated reason or another, because the fame in itself for somebody who is mentally ill and feeling like they are purposeless in life and perhaps they're getting closer and closer to really just, spurging out and killing people, that this idea of having just 15 minutes of fame and wanting to outdo the other person is enough to trigger that in everybody. And that's still very, very pertinent.
I would say that's a far better argument for hiding their identities and protecting them, or not wanting to sexualize children or make that connection. Like I think that's probably the biggest reason not to.
Because it ties back in what we were talking before. What are all the factors that lead to making a society so sick?
I mean, didn't this most recent one, didn't he cite another recent shooter as like inspiration, and the one in Georgia? Didn't he?
I don't know.
Didn't he cite the Parkland shooter or another one of these mass shooters as like inspiration? I could have swore I saw something like that.
I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. There's more, and it's an uncomfortable truth here, but more and more LGBT incorporated mind scrambled kids are going out there because of gender issues and everything else and doing this shit. And when you take the whole messaging and triggering through media sensationalism object, that flows perfectly into all the other factors as to what creates a society that we have right now, between drugs, mind control, everything else. When this is, especially when you get into gender and identity dysphoria, that's something that this government sponsors not only here and promotes here fervently, but sponsors it all over the world. Yeah. I mean, we send foreign aid to countries all over the world to make sure that their queer education programs and dance studios are lively. Yeah, it's like why we do this is incredible. But now when you start seeing that there is at least a pretty startling, I don't know, triggering. I mean, there's a growing statistic here. And I think it ties into the overall cultural programming and societal programming. Let's take a really quick break. It's 8:20. We'll come right back and be on our way. First a really quick break and then into the intermission. I don't want to miss these breaks tonight. Be right back.
Hey Frank, you're one talented guy. You're very good. Very good. Get out! You chicken shit bastard! Let me shoot 7%! Bird shot, you asshole!
The people who did this Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were good people.
Hey, like this!
And it's a good place. Here we are in the middle of it, right up on the mountain. If this son of a bitch wants to bitch about his cows over here and shoot at me, well, it's our country. It's not theirs. It's not a bunch of used car dealers from Southern California. Democracy, you have to be a player.
Our first call from Union, New Jersey. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm a soldier. I'm serving in the U.S. Army. I'm over there in Germany. I'm back here in the States right now for a little while. I have to say, in regards to all these people that are so anti-American, in protest, they're protesting all over Europe against this. All I have to say to them is that, I'm an American and I can suck my own cock.
Savannah, Georgia.
It's called Newark, New Jersey. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I got myself into really bad debt. I was paying one credit card off with another for over 4 years. I just went on, and I'm like really broke right now, about to file bankruptcy. I'm trying to get a penile implant. I need to enlarge my package to pick up the chicks these days.
Oxford, North Carolina is up next. Good morning.
Philadelphia, go ahead.
Boy, the callers are really fired up this morning. I just want to say I have a really big penis. I can suck my...
Let's go next. It's really very unnecessary. Next, we go to Washington.
I'm sorry, Brooklyn, New York. Go ahead.
Hello.
You're on, ma'am. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a serious question? How big is your cock?
Baltimore, Maryland. Good morning.
Illinois. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing? First, I would just like to say that, thank you to the bat right there for just, with all the persecution and all the stuff that's been going on, and you guys have not been getting a lot of fan service as far as things go, and I just really want to thank you for sticking through it and keep doing your job and, keep doing what you do, despite, a lot of people really not liking it. And as far as that goes, I would really just like to give you a nice big fuck.
McLean, Virginia, you're on the Washington Journal. Troy, New York, you're on the Washington Journal. Go ahead.
I would just like to thank you for taking my call, number one. And number two, you should go fuck yourself.
On the USA...
Jim is joining us from Freeport in the Bahamas. Good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. And good morning, Mr. Satter, too. I think everybody remembers a few years ago when there was that war in Chechnya with regards to the territorial integrity of Russia, and especially seeing the protests going on right now, it could really lead one to ask the question, Mr. Satter, do you have a circumcised penis?
Okay, I apologize. We've had some callers who have gotten through, and we apologize for that very much.
Go to Clarence Democratic Line in Jacksonville, Florida, and hear what he has to say. Hi, Clarence.
Hi, good morning. It's a very exciting day here in America, the New Hampshire primary. I think it's very interesting to see how different this race is from previous races when you look at the amount of personality that you see in the Republican field. Herman Cain with his 999 plan, Rick Perry with his oops, Michelle Bachmann with her very hairy vagina.
Oh, excuse me, that was totally inappropriate. And we're talking about the candidates and what's going on.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Guys, that's what they're trading.
Trade what?
All those videos.
We have to do something, and we have to do it now.
I'm gay. Who's that?
I'm
Gay. Very gay. I'm gay. I'm gay.
Welcome to intermission. Intermission.
You are now entering, quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch, quite frankly, with Frank.
Quite frankly. How dare you?
Can I ask you a serious question?
I wish you guys could hear the laughter over here. I know some of you were laughing at that. I love going to, and I personally curated that C-SPAN clip. I have to go out there. Those are the best 3.5 minutes I could find. I'm sure that there's at least another couple of minutes. But does C-SPAN still take calls like that? Like unscreened calls like that? Do they still do that? Or
Probably.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched C-SPAN in a long time, so I don't know. But at least back in like 2018 or 19, they did.
C-SPAN has done some amazing things over the years, though. Like they did that 3-hour interview with Shelby Foote, the historian, like just from his own personal study. There's a lot of really great interviews they've conducted over the years that are of immense public value that nobody's interested in, but they are out there. Anyway, let's check the super chats and see whatever's going on. Thank you everybody so far for hanging with us on Rumble Rants. 925 Wild G says every time it comes up, replace the Constitution with its predecessor, the Articles of Confederation, funding only legal agencies, keep the Bill of Rights, and the bicameral legislature. I would like to talk about that sometime because of the reason why they wanted to throw the Articles of Confederacy out, especially some people like Alexander Hamilton, is because it had no teeth to compel the states to do anything. That it was just a loose confederation of states, which that's supposed to be it. That's supposed to be.
What if we go back to the Mayflower Compact?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, listen, why do they call New England like the land of 1,000 constitutions or something? I mean, they have that's that's the way it should be. Those are the compacts and the constitutions that should mean the most, is how you're dealing with yourself locally and your county, your state, etc. But I know around the time of the founding, the Articles of Confederation were a big hindrance for the general government trying to repay its war debt. I know that's one thing, but I should really talk to Chris Ann Hall about what was lost. Or maybe that's another thing. Brian McClanahan would be another great person to talk to about that. But I've been trying to get him rebooked, and we'll see where that all goes. Stephen Ellis says, pass the hookah. Great crew tonight. Awesome week, Frank. It was a great week. I almost forgot that it was a short week. with Labor Day. But yeah, let me see. Delona, thank you. Cynthia, due diligence. That's on the pilled.net chat on quitefrankly.tv. And you guys are great. Sean Joe says, I'm surprised the father was charged so quickly. Very strange. Yeah, like I said, I haven't been following it too much, but when I saw how rapidly the father was charged for murder.
That's new, right? Like, because they did it in Michigan, I think, with one of these shootings where they charged the parents with something. But I don't think I've ever heard before that. So that's like within the last year or so that they started going after the parents for these things. Unless I'm missing something.
It does seem pretty unique.
Yeah,
and I'm not a really good source of information on it, but I did notice that, and I did scratch my head a little bit. Let me see. Road Trip said that caller made a good point. They want us to abuse kids like adults. We can't trust anything. We said that before. Thank you. Crack the Whip said defund the world's largest human trafficking corporations. The U.S. corrupt org won't hold up the U.S. Constitution. Let me see. No Thanks Joe says they have numbed us all out. Fellow 14-year-old students interviewed seem unaffected by tragedy. Well, I'm sure some of them are affected. But there is I'll tell you, as far as numbing out goes, there's so much media that is shared every day, which we don't cover, that we used to cover on this show before. But it needlessly puts you in a place where you just feel like you're just tired. Your soul is just tired. The violence, especially youth violence and all that other stuff. And when you see people getting the shit beat out of them, or there's some other kind of, someone's getting the advantage, taken advantage of in one respect or another, and that there is just an abundance of onlookers who are filming and in many cases chuckling and just like being, almost like audience members for daily, travesties when it comes to just human decency. You see it all the time. And then you got to ask, how widespread is it? There's plenty of evidence that this stuff is widespread, especially since a lot of these programs are being run on national levels, and the media is national, and that we know that everything is tied together from the big networks down to the local papers. So there's definitely coordination on it, and they have certainly done a lot of work within the last 100 years to turn us into nutcases. But on the other hand, they also want you to believe. They need our belief. If they don't have us believing that humanity is lost and that we are just completely, we're not savable. I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about human ascendancy. Like when we talked to, when we were talking about the Kingdom video with Lubomir Arsov. It's one of those things where it really comes down to the human heart. So I can't, just like last night when we were talking about whether or not people are inherently evil. I was hit up with quite a few, maybe 3 or 4 people who were like, no, Frank, the Bible says it here, 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 and here, that humans are inherently evil. And then I said to myself, is Aurora evil? Is my daughter Aurora evil? Can evil be done to her? Can she grow up to do an evil thing? Can she be, can someone can a little girl, a little boy her age be turned into a monster if they are not, if they're not properly educated, or if they're not properly taken care of, if their base programming is something that is fried and something that is not, that's not, you know what I mean? I couldn't conceive of that. I still don't know how far I can go with that line of thought.
There's a documentary of a little girl, like maybe 7 or 8 years old, I think, in England, and she was like a psychopath. She would like kill little animals. She had a little baby brother. She wanted to kill her baby brother. She wanted to kill her parents. They had to lock her in her room at night. You heard of that? What the hell was that girl's name? I think she's like okay now though. Like she grew up, and I think she is like, oh no, maybe she's still a psychopath.
I'd sent something to myself. Where the hell is it? And we've done plenty of stories on people who are psychopaths, who are sociopathic. I mean, there are people out there that they come from stable beginnings.
Yeah, she was from a normal, like she would stick needles in her baby brother and stuff like that. Like she was crazy.
So that's another thing. I mean, it needs to be studied. There are examples of people who've seen that they came out, they were bad eggs. There's plenty of examples of that, but to extrapolate that out to all of mankind is a bridge too far for me. Yeah, okay. What else do we have over here? Let's take a call, then we'll go back to some more super chats. 712, you're on the air with Adel and Matt and myself.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, Adel.
Who's this?
That's Kim,
Kim,
Iowa.
Iowa.
Oh, hello, Kim, Iowa. Go ahead.
I just thought I'd give a PSA for the people that are on GLP-1 drugs, which is Ozempic. You'll be hearing on the news, if it isn't out there already, the lawyers are already starting to ask for people to start suing because it causes thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, pancreatitis. It messes up your kidneys, which is funny because it's a kidney drug in the first place. Your intestines won't work, and they're also talking about blindness. And these fools are taking this to make themselves skinny. That's the whole reason why they're taking that drug. It was a diabetic drug, which I think is funny since it ruins your kidneys.
Yeah,
and they were using it for diabetes.
Yeah. And
and a little bit on the trans stuff. Okay, I'm old enough to remember that when there used to be a shooting, whether it was an adult or whatever, before we got all mad about having to know every single detail, I think the media loves this, and so does our government, that to get copycats to do this kind of stuff. Because when I was growing up and stuff happened, they never told you the name or anything, and sometimes they didn't even report it because they didn't want anybody to go out and do the same thing or have any ideas, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's that's hand in hand. Perfectly agrees with what we were saying before. That you can go up there and say and lament, as they love to do. They cry their crocodile tears and talk about this just can't be a part of American life anymore. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you are a part of the machine that has created this tragedy factory that we live in.
Yep.
It's only going to continue. But of course, they have a very, very intense need to make sure that people are disarmed, that the crazies who will be either determined enough to go out and get their guns regardless of what the laws are, or they just decide to stab people, you know, build a bomb, whatever the hell it is. It's never about why are we fucking cracking up right now? Why are we cracking up? Why are we falling apart? It's always about, my gosh, the access to these guns are just, I mean, this country was founded on firearms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't.
It doesn't have to do with guns.
It doesn't.
It's mental illness, and everybody has to be put on a medicine. And if you look at the side effects to half the medicine that everybody's on, it gives you suicidal thoughts. How many times have you been up watching TV and or on YouTube or anywhere, and they come up with something, like to make your eyelashes grow longer or for this or that. And then they're reading off the side effects they have to by law at the end, and it'll say suicidal thoughts. Or it'll say, you know, this or that at the end of it for something retarded that you don't even need to take.
Well,
that's what's going on. And we need mental institutions again, like for real.
Good points. Well, we have mental institutions. The one thing is, what is the criteria for being admitted?
Right.
You know, we live in an inverted world where a lot of the reasons why people would have been treated at a facility and removed from civil society at one point is now being turned in many ways as just a misunderstood superpower that makes them unique instead of, no, they're unique. This is, we just didn't have a way of understanding it. We were unevolved, the people who weren't killing people. Let's see here. There is another one. Here's from from Chase says, "You're right, Frank. $10 million. I guess is about the Russian propping up thing with Tenet. You're right, Frank. $10 million ain't propping up anything in 2024. That's not even a year's worth of groceries because of inflation." Yeah, I mean, that's the most hilarious thing about that whole thing. The timing is obviously ridiculous. You got they found more Chinese, a couple of days ago, they found more Chinese spies leeching off of Democrat politicians here in New York.
Right.
Okay. You got the LGBT diary down in Tennessee was released. The Telegram thing where they were going after Telegram, and that I didn't know that Telegram had 900 million users.
Damn.
I didn't know that.
What does Twitter have just for
300 million?
So it's got 3 times the user base of Twitter.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what made me go. I made my head spin because they're doing all of this reporting on the arrest out there in France.
Yeah.
And how Telegram was being used by foreign powers to send encrypted stuff, and we can't whatever. Anyway, that was this week. Then we had the Telegram thing, the Harris campaign stepping on that landmine, that public relations landmine regarding the post they put out there about the Arlington Cemetery. Yeah. It's just so. Like I said, the only thing is just really unique about it is how the blast zone is very close to us, and I think it's a testament to just how bothersome new media really is right now. I mean, are they punching down? So they're punching. I mean, I think that we are the.
I don't think they're punching down. I think they lost one of their major tools in Twitter, and there's now a quote unquote mainstream social media platform that has kind of some of the brakes taken off of it, and they're not able to contain their narratives as much, not able to play information police as well as they could 4 years ago. So I think having Twitter kind of being a fly in the ointment, they need to find some way to invalidate the new community notes, so to speak. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. And they know that for at least a segment of the population, they've created an emotional trigger to the word Russia or Kremlin or Putin. So it's just very simple. It's just anything that disagrees with us, it's Russian disinformation. And that's kind of their way, I think, of trying to put what Elon Musk did with Twitter back in its lane, but it is pathetic, especially when you talk about $10 million. I mean, what's Kamala Harris, you think, going to spend on her campaign this year?
Dude, great point there, because you want to think about who's really propped up. It's the left-wing media is propped up.
And how much money is coming in from foreign adversaries to these networks? Like, how much money is China investing, in these networks, or Iran?
These networks that nobody's watching either.
Yeah,
it's essentially a studio where entire broadcasts that have so paltry viewership can be cut into smaller clips and then just sprinkled about on social media. Nobody's actually tuning into them anymore. They don't even need the studio space. It's just a write-off.
It's how they create that veneer of legitimacy, right?
Yeah.
They have the big room, the fancy suits, the
just like we have here.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's all it is. I mean, it makes them seem official. But you're right. I mean, for the amount of resources invested in what they do, the amount of people they reach continues to dwindle, and the amount of people that actually take them seriously is dwindling even further. I think a lot of their audience are people like us that watch just to see what the hell they're going to say next, and then we can come on our own platforms and kind of pick it apart and call out the lies and the hypocrisies and all the bullshit that they're spewing. And I think they're losing that battle, and all they can go off of is Orange Man bad, Trump is Hitler, Russian disinformation, Putin this. I mean, it's...
And somebody said, well, what's going to happen when Trump is gone? Whether his career in politics ends this year or in 2028, what happens when he's gone? What happens? What do they do? I said, well, what do you mean? What do they do? They've been talking about Hitler nonstop for 80 years. You think they're going to stop talking about Trump? He's still going to be the reason why they say everything is wrong 15 years from now.
Sure.
So he's not going to be. He's going to be it for a while now.
A perfect example of that, Frank, is was it Kamala Harris that said, like, look at the last 10 years, all these bad things have happened. It's like Trump was only 4 of those years, right? Like, so the majority of the time it's been establishment stooges running the country. So how is it Trump's fault? He's only been there for 4 years.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, he was about ready to declare his candidacy.
Yeah.
2015, we're in 2024. So the last 10 years was the era of Trump. Even though he was a known quantity to the country for decades prior to that, but they all loved him then.
Right.
Everything about this still is so ridiculous when you break it down.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. If you just think logically for 2 seconds, none of it makes sense. But again, they have programmed people to react emotionally to certain characters and certain things, to where you put things through a certain lens, through this is pro-Trump or anti-Trump lens, and all common sense goes out the window. It's I hate this person or I love this person, and then you start rationalizing your viewpoints from that perspective, as opposed to like what actually is true. What am I actually seeing with my own 2 eyes in real life? Hate and fear are 2 very powerful things, and they've injected a lot of that into a lot of people, and they use that to get the response they're looking for.
Well, think about this, and you guys throw your own examples into the pot when they come to you. But you talk about the $10 million that is swaying the election right now. The left-wing media, propped up as usual, it has an ongoing partnership with government. That's Fox too. This time 4 years ago to the date, left-wing media and the intelligence agencies cobbled together 50 spooks who were willing to lie about the Biden family, their end of the international syndicate, their little corner. They're not masterminds. They're just sucking off the same nipples. And they blamed that, ironically, on the Russians as well. It was all bullshit. Years prior to that, right after 2016, we had Dr. Robert Epstein come out to talk about search engine manipulation. He said that anywhere from 6 to 12 million votes were swayed.
Something like that, yeah.
It was an incredible amount.
And that was still, and Google was still not going full speed ahead with these tactics. I think they were still kind of testing the waters at that point, as far as, silencing certain voices, hiding certain things from search results. They've gotten way worse since then. So I'm curious if Dr. Robert Epstein were to do that study again today, like what that number of votes would be.
Listen to this. Here is Dr. Robert Epstein before. This is actually currently, where is he? It's on C-SPAN, actually. Here you go. This is from, I forget how many years ago. I would love to interview this guy. And remember, he lost his wife in very, very suspicious circumstances.
I remember that, yeah.
The car accident.
Yeah.
And and you can tell in his subsequent interviews, he believes that there's something bigger attached to it. But let me see. Take a listen to what he said. This is in regard, he's going to make some comments about the 2016 election alone. It's only a minute-long clip.
Number 1, in 2016, Google's search algorithm likely impacted undecided voters in a way that shifted at least 2.6 million votes to Hillary Clinton, whom I supported. I know this because I preserved more than 13,000 election-related searches prior to Election Day, and Google's search results were significantly biased in favor of Secretary Clinton. I know the number of votes that shifted because I've conducted dozens of controlled experiments that measure how opinions shift when search results are biased. I call this shift SEAM, the search engine manipulation effect, which I first published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2015. Biased search results can easily produce shifts in the opinions and voting preferences of undecided voters by up to 80% in some demographic groups, because people blindly trust high-ranking search results over lower ones.
Now, he said 2.6 million right there, but this was only a 1-minute clip. He went into even higher numbers as to where this can go, and it went into like over 10 million.
Well, that's the popular vote right there, isn't it? With that election,
100%.
And how much did they use that as like a way of trying to convince people that Donald Trump is illegitimate? He really doesn't have a mandate to lead. He didn't win the popular vote, and then they also use that to try to persuade people that the Electoral College needs to go.
Yeah.
So they come at you from so many angles on this, and it's all bullshit.
And again, just for those of you out there who want to do a little bit more of your own research into that, that's Dr. Robert Epstein. He's a senior research psychologist and, of course, a Democrat, which makes this even more of an incredible indictment.
Clearly a Putin stooge, this guy.
Clearly. Carrying water for Putin. American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology. So, I mean, that's just it. So you think about election interference and what they're talking about with this whole Tenet thing, and you can even go beyond that. The biases that have been discovered in ChatGPT, and more recently, the Alexa. Have you seen the Alexa video?
Yeah.
Did you see it since I told you?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Hold on, maybe I can find that one too. I didn't think about it. They have since corrected it, but hold on. Let me see. Alexa bias. Let me see this. On Kamala Harris. Here, let's see this.
Alexa, why should I vote for Trump?
I cannot provide responses that endorse any political party or its leader.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
While there are many reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the most significant may be that she is a female of color with a comprehensive plan to address racial injustice and inequality throughout the country.
Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot promote content that supports a certain political party or a specific politician. Furthermore, I do not have the ability to provide information.
Okay, so you see that, but that's just a few examples. But there was others that asked the more pointed question, Alexa, why shouldn't I vote for Donald Trump? She had an answer for that.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, I know. And listen, they said they caught it, they fixed it. It's not a glitch, it's a feature.
Oh, 100%.
But think about how much that feature costs. You think that feature right there costs at least $10 million? You know, to have have that in every home that has Alexa in the country.
I mean, that's far more that's way more election interference than anything that Tenet is doing with their $10 million.
It's laughable. It's laughable. But you know what they needed to do? However the hell they planted, this money got moved around and they poisoned the well and they sat on this until September 2024. I guess they needed something bigger this time around than $100,000.
$100,000.
You remember, Matt? You remember that in 2006?
The Facebook ads.
The $100,000 worth of Facebook ads that they tried to say swung the election. It was Russian online interference. $100,000 worth of ads that weren't even primarily or all for Donald Trump. There was Hillary ads. There was Bernie ads in that $100,000.
Didn't Michael Moore, the left wing documentary guy, didn't he show up to like a rally that was advertised by one of those? I'm pretty sure there was a story he showed up to like a pro Hillary rally that was promoted by one of those Russian Facebook ads.
I forget.
I swear to God I heard something like that.
So much has happened.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, it feels like 2 lifetimes ago.
It really was.
2016.
Let's take a call. 229, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi. No, I just wanted to call and say you're all gay and slap the cheeks.
Oh, thank you.
Love the show. Have a good night.
There you go. We're all gay, and she just slapped. Shit. We just got all 6 of our cheeks slapped by. Thank you so much, my friend. Call in again.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. See, that's as easy as it is, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to call in with some. You don't have to solve the mysteries in the universe. Just
that's pretty profound, I thought. Yeah.
We needed that. We needed to break things up a little bit.
Deep thinker.
314, you're on the air. Go ahead. 314.
Hey.
Hey there.
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen. I just wanted to get your opinion on the SAVE Act. I work for a government integrator. One of my clients is an intel agency, and it just pisses me off to no end that if we shut the government down, people still go to work. People still show up. The people that don't show up, they still get paid. Pisses me off so bad. Just wanted to get your guys' idea.
Which act?
The SAVE Act.
The SAVE Act?
So
SAVE Act.
That's a stop illegal, supposedly to make it so only citizens can vote.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that Donald Trump worked with Mike Johnson to put together, or maybe Chip Roy. I can't. One of the Freedom Caucus guys, and the whole thing is just to put it in the law that have some kind of citizen verification to vote. So now the whole thing is the Republicans in the House, anyway, at least some of them, are trying to say, look, we're not going to pass the next budget or continue resolution unless this is attached to it. So now the whole thing is, will the Republicans have the guts to actually allow a government shutdown and hold their ground, use their leverage to get this passed or not? So I think where it stands right now is Mike Johnson is probably trying to get the Republican caucus in the House to go along and hold their ground, whereas Mitch McConnell immediately was torpedoing this idea and just trying to get the money through the system without any stipulations when it comes to voter integrity.
Well, anything like this, then thank you for the call, because I have to look into it. These are two things I'd love to talk about now with people like Chris Ann Hall, or an American historian like Brian McClanahan or something like that. Not only the Articles of Confederation question, but about laws about voting. As we all know, we talk about national elections. We talk about the election of a president being something that goes far beyond a local thing. But to dial ourselves back and to get ourselves out of this whole proposition nation mindset, the American reality of the thing is that every election is a local election. States have to take care of what's going on their voter rolls. We talked to quite a few people about that and how bad things are all over the place, blue and red alike. But the states are the ones that are going to have to do that. Now, I always wonder when you have a state, I wonder if this SAVE Act, even though it's common sense and it's something we all wish would just be across the board, is it constitutional? Because even though something goes our way, to go and to establish a new power of the government through legislation that shouldn't exist is going to be used against us at some point.
Yeah, it sets an interesting precedent to give the federal government control over elections, state elections, right? But the counter argument to that would be is like, what California does with their presidential election affects me in Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
Right? So
that's the bigger question.
It shouldn't be like that, because the federal government shouldn't be that involved in our day-to-day lives, right? But at this point it is. So yeah, if California is cheating and all these other states are cheating to put in a stooge, like that does affect the states that do want to have more legitimate elections when it comes to the federal government, or especially the presidency, right?
So you know what would happen? And I know one answer I'm going to get is, because that would be a very legitimate one. All right, so this is a state issue as well. How do we get around? So then what happens if a number of states are doing their due diligence and making sure that they are putting forth verifiable results after every election night, and some other states are just running through ballots however the hell they've been doing it? They are ballot harvesting, they are registering non-citizens, but especially getting on the non-citizen bandwagon there. That is especially because, hey, these states over here are, really pulling votes from people who aren't even citizens. You think that's a national security issue right there?
Yeah.
So what do you do there? I know at least one answer I'm going to get is that, well, the federal government has it within their right to expel that state or something because they're in breach of contract and they're not but the federal government is always benefiting from the way that these elections are being run.
Right.
I mean, you just said it right there. Whether it's Mitch McConnell or Chuck Schumer, there's always a $500 million more put onto the now $2 trillion spending bills we get every couple of years.
Yep.
So
I don't know what the answer is. It's a tough one.
It is tough.
Because some of these states are so captured at this point that they become a runaway train. Like you look at California, like they mail out ballots to your pets, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? And you could download them online, print them out. Like they don't care. So they're not going to self-correct.
Right.
So I don't know what the answer is. I don't want to give the federal government any more power almost in any circumstance. But at the same time, I don't want a bunch of swing states that have cheated to, manipulate their local and state governments to have these terrible election laws be able to affect the rest of the country. That I don't know what the answer is, but it's an interesting problem.
It is. So I would love to talk about that at some point. I have to write these notes down, and I will in a little bit because it's pretty much 9:00.
Man, that went quickly.
Yeah. So real quick, let's just go to the Babylon Bee and let's check out a couple of headlines. Here we go. The first one up. Hold on. Sorry. Let me move Matt. Wait a second. Let me get Matt and move him over here. And then where is Adel? There he is. I'm going to stack him up on top. There you go. We got a nice little patriotic totem pole. There you have it. All right, first headline. Grizzled veteran comes out of retirement for one last Russian collusion hoax. And it's Hillary Clinton. It's almost like a Rocky movie or something. It's coming back for one more match. All right, here we go. Next one. Headline. FBI assures public the next 10 mass shooters are also on their radar. Okay. This one is a Tim Waltz headline. After motorcade involved in fender bender, Tim Waltz adds Purple Heart to his resume. Tim Waltz's dog also endorses Trump. Oh, did you see his? What is that? Most of his family?
Almost like his entire family. Yeah.
Where were they? Did I see Nebraska on their shirts?
That sounds right. Yeah.
So most of his family is in Nebraska, and they all hate him, huh?
Yeah. He's the black sheep.
Good people.
They're good people. Not all the Waltzes are nuts. Let me see. Here's another one. Theologians debate whether God could design IKEA bookcase even he could not assemble. He may. Maybe he'll do one more. Tucker Carlson guest suggests Avengers were real villains in Infinity War. This one I don't really give a shit about. This one, I don't care. There's so much about history that has been twisted around. I think that there is. It's refreshing to hear people say things that are outlandish, that sound outlandish. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. So I don't go nuts with stuff like that. To everybody's. World War II history has also become a religion. So it's I'm always interested in more than that. And here's one last story for you. Oh, no. This one's for Matt. We only have one reel. Is this for real? I saw you guys sharing this in the hilarious shit chat room. This guy has a I don't know, a condition where he walks around and he's having powerful orgasms all day.
Good for him.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it is good for him because by 9 o'clock, I would want to end my life. 9 o'clock a.m.
How frequent are we talking?
This may be just a wonderfully choreographed and written bit, but I don't know because anything could happen to the human body. Take a look at this. Hold on.
Dale has been unable to work since the accident and is mostly housebound through fear of experiencing an episode in public, but he enjoys playing frisbee golf with his closest friends.
Uh-oh. He's feeling it.
Oh, God. They happen at all times in any situation. They happen when I'm awake. They happen when I'm asleep. They happen in the shower. I just had 9 rather powerful orgasmic sensations flow through my entire body.
That's horrible.
And now it feels like every muscle from here to about here is doing this.
While the condition is so rare most doctors can't even diagnose it, it is
way there.
See, I don't know. If it's real, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If it's real, that is a nightmare. If you have that problem, please get in touch with the show because I have just a couple of questions for you. It seems like this guy had an accident.
Yeah.
Matt, do you think that's real?
I hope so.
Well, there you go. Oh, here are some of the comments. Nothing but clarity all day long. Patrick Bowers, 97, says, is that an honorable discharge? Saw this years ago. Where is this guy today? Was it cured? Let me see what people say to that. They say he's still out there on the same Frisbee golf course. Poor bastard hasn't made it back to his car. He's just laying. He's just laying there busted. Oh, horrible. Let me see what somebody else says. What is this condition even called? Oh, man, what are people saying? Deep vein thrombosis. It's so stupid. Let's say. Someone commented, did he have to moan though? Couldn't you have done that in quiet? Let's see here. Tony SAL says, why did they continue to record? Give that man a moment. So I don't know if this is real. I'm gonna have to do some more research, but it seemed like a Friday night thing to end with. So, gentlemen, let's do one more look through our super chats, and we're going to be on our way. Valsky says, it was a great broadcast week, Frank. Nice to see Adel visiting, and of course, Matt. Do either of you hear from Dilly these days? Oh, I talked to Dilly. I just sent him some cigars. He sent me some cigars. He's out there doing his thing. He hasn't been on the show in a while. But yeah, I don't know. People drift, though.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Dilly really since we stopped doing Taking It Back. I don't think we've spoken too much since then, but wish him the best.
Yeah, well, there's that. Those are great days. You know, I actually have, I don't know if it's over here, Adel, but I found the Ben Garrison photo of you, me, and Dilly.
Yeah.
And I took a picture and I sent it to him. I said, man, these were good days, good times. And I have to find a place. I'm not getting rid of it. In fact, I'm going to go get it framed, and I have to put it up somewhere in here because A, it's a Ben Garrison.
Absolutely.
And it was just great. It was a wonderful time, and that was.
Can I just say, if all you guys out there, any prayer warriors out there, please say a prayer for Ben. He's going through another round of chemo treatments right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's been fighting cancer for like the past 6 months to a year. He used to come on my show almost every week.
Wow.
And it's been a lot more sporadic lately because he's been struggling. So yeah, just keep Ben in your thoughts and prayers because he's such a talented guy. I absolutely love his work, and I hate the fact that he's going through that right now. Him and his wife Tina are just like the best people. So
I did not know that. I will keep them in my prayers for sure. I hope everybody else does as well. Okay, and that's all from QuiteFranklySuperChat.com. Thank you, Valsky. Over on QuiteFrankly.tv, powered by Pilled. Candace Owens has woken up in tearing the establishment historical narrative apart. Yes, she is definitely throwing her weight around out there now. Delia says, after being visited by the FBI last year, the dad bought the kid a gun. That's why he was charged. After being visited by the FBI, that's when he bought the kid a gun?
Yeah, he gave it to him after that.
That's very strange.
That is very strange.
Very strange.
That's why they charged him.
Yeah. Okay. So then maybe that's why it moved around.
That's why they charged him.
Still strange.
Yeah, it's really weird actually.
Yeah. When that's on the books. Thank you for the sleeve of cookies over there, Stove. You're fantastic with the cans to wash it down. Delona, thank you. Crack that whip. It's good to see a lot of newbies here. Well, it's probably a lot of Adel's people. You know, this was a very big Pilled.net get together.
I imagine it would be. Yeah, I mean, I've been plugging it all week long, or for weeks now, since we planned it really.
Yeah.
And I asked everyone to show up and show out for the show today. So I'm glad to see everyone out there.
They definitely did. And
Yeah.
123 SKG says a movie recommendation: go see Reagan. Matt, you gonna go see that?
Yeah, I want to. That's with Quaid. He got red pilled making that movie.
Is it being played at Alamo?
I don't know.
We should go
I think maybe. We should go see it tomorrow.
We should go get a burger.
Right now?
No. I mean, maybe we should plan to go to Alamo and watch that, get a burger there.
Oh no, I have that.
That's another thing you have to do when you come here next time.
Alamo app.
You stay to be able to experience the Alamo Draft House.
Beetlejuice.
You name the weekend, man. I'll be back. This has been an awesome experience.
Beetlejuice just came out too, which people say. I saw one of those Star Wars Disney shills say that they were horrified by Beetlejuice because it was so one thing or another. I said, great, this would be fantastic.
That's good though that they're making movies that aren't afraid of their own shadow anymore.
You
Man,
you can't make Beetlejuice. He's supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
You can't make this appeasing to anybody. It has to be offensive. So I'd like to see, even though I'd like to go see it.
10 o'clock seating available.
Tonight?
Tomorrow.
Beetlejuice, 10 o'clock? That's a late night. What is it, a 2-hour film?
104 minutes.
Not even then.
Oh, that's short.
Yeah.
Fucking, they should have made it 2
It's
hours.
not even 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
That's pretty quick.
Usually comedies are shorter.
Well, I mean, Deadpool was over 2 hours. Right, Matt?
Deadpool's a great movie.
That was over 2 hours.
Yeah, I think that all of them were.
They broke the fourth wall at one point at the end, and Deadpool says, "Don't worry, we're wrapping this up."
yeah.
Those. But if you go to the Alamo, you can just keep eating and drinking the whole time. They keep bringing you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Deadpool.
And they shut people up if they talk. You can report somebody, and they'll give them a warning, then they'll kick them out.
Yeah.
So you just get to sit back in your recliner and just eat a meal and have a drink and watch a movie.
It's a movie theater that does it right, huh?
That's right.
And you hear the gunshot after they take the person out.
They killed
the
them.
gunshot in the distance. It's like Austin Powers.
They bring them to the bathroom and kill them. That's why I love them.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. No Stud All Muffin, thank you so much. Eagle Freedom says, good sesh, Adel, Frank, Matt, thank you. Road Trip says, it's tough to putt while you nut. Yes, it is very, very. And Secret Weapon, thanks again, says, thanks, Adel, found Frank and Dilly from your show. Thank you, PSB Legacy.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Patriot Soapbox?
That's where I started, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about blast from the past stuff.
Yeah, that's how Taking It Back started. Is I was interviewing Dilly on there, and you just happened to tune in and asked if you could join, and the segment just kind of blew up, and we're like, we have to do that again sometime.
I don't ask people if I can join anymore. That did me a lot of good back then. I met some good people, and I should start asking my way onto shows a little bit.
I'm thankful you did, because Taking It Back has been one of the most fun experiences, going back from Dilly to even now with Zach. I love Thursdays, man. It's always such a good time.
I know. That's why I hate when I have to miss some of them. But I love, it's been a lot of fun all throughout the years. And Zach's always been a good friend throughout those years, too.
Yeah.
All right. Due Diligence says, cheers to another great show. Well, I can't wait until Monday, ladies and gents. And it'll be a good one because we have more people that are going to be in studio and on the phone. All good with the Rumble rants, all good with this and that and the other thing. And I'll be releasing the scratching and also the D-Live treasure chest. We'll see you guys on Monday. Matt, you got anything to say to people?
God is Lord.
God is Lord. Adel?
Just Frank, thanks for having me, man. This has been something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I'd love to come back and do it again soon.
We shall.
Yeah.
We shall. We'll do it. We'll make sure that you're here for a Saturday night show. We have to do some more of those.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more spooky, and they always ride on the back of a nice, tasty, well-packed hookah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, ladies and gents, that's it. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe, be sound, and be merry. No. It's the wrong one.
Will you shut up?
No.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Valsky, Jay Britz, Lease Breaker, Big Tane, and Gino, to an entire cavalry. Look at Juan Mording. Thank you so much for dropping in a gold pill. You have been wonderful to us over here across QuiteFrankly.tv and Rumble and YouTube and all the other places. I will see you on Monday, and again, consider becoming a sponsor of the show through either the links in the description below or on the Sponsor Us tab on QuiteFrankly.tv. It'll open you up to a whole new world of exclusive content, and delivered right to your door will be this month's newsletter. See you soon.
The best and the truest, alas, are the fewest. But be one of these if you can. In duty ne'er fail. You will find 'twill avail you and bring its reward when a man. Don't think life plain sailing. There's danger of failing, though bright the future seem to be. But bright honor and labor and truth to your neighbor will bear you safe over life's seas. Then up and be doing, right only pursuing, and take your fair part in the strife. Be honest and true, boys, whatever you do, boys. Let this be your motto through life.